This video is the unboxing of a brand new motorcycle engine. Lifan 200cc, Chinese made. Now, there are two versions of this engine. One of them is overhead cam, and it's based on loosely upon the XR200 engine, Honda, which itself is based on the XL185 and XL125. The other version is based on the CG125, which is still basically the same engine block and everything, but the difference is that it's a pushrod motor. I was really hoping for the pushrod motor, and I contacted the company selling these and asked them if it was the overhead cam or the pushrod motor. They replied back and said it was the overhead valve motor. Now, that would seem to indicate that it's a pushrod motor, but the thing is, overhead cam engines are also overhead valve, and I've seen the video, or I had seen the owner's manual, or manual of specification sheet, I guess you would call it actually, of the engine. And you know, being a Chinese product, and the fact that the engines are pretty much whatever you get the pushrod or you get the overhead cam engine. And I think they kind of send the same spec sheet with both of them, and it says OHV. And the wording of the reply from the company I bought it from told me that they didn't look inside it to see if it was a pushrod engine or what. They just quoted what was in the spec sheet. So I wasn't sure which version I was going to get. I wasn't sure that I was actually going to get the pushrod version, which is what I wanted. But I went ahead and bought it because the price has come down on them. The price was pretty high on them for a while because there weren't many left in the country. But I guess a batch of them came in the country again, so they're inexpensive again. So I went ahead and bought one. So I figured even if it is the overhead cam version, it'll still be usable. I just prefer the pushrod version, because it's more robust as far as, well, it's a third world engine. Really, I mean, it literally is a third world engine, because in the mid to late 70s, I forget exactly what year, I want to say 1978 or something like that, one of the Honda engineers visited some Southeast Asian country or something, somewhere more or less third worldish, Vietnam or whatever, and he found that the engines on the bikes were not being maintained in the manner that the Honda factory liked to see them maintained. And so he decided to design something a little more, something that would stand, you know, running used motor oil and changing the motor oil just very sporadically, I guess you would say. Not to the point that the Honda factory liked to see, anyway. The Honda factory, like any other manufacturer, likes to see their equipment brought into a dealership on a regular basis and serviced, and that's not what was happening. So he basically took an existing overhead cam design and designed it, and I mean, according to what I read, he designed it pretty much overnight, and he just basically designed a pushrod setup for the basic engine. It did away with the timing chain in favor of gear drive cam that was located down closer to the crankshaft, and then just had push rods, which is more conducive to to longevity in adverse conditions. Well, that's what I like. I like stuff that has good torque and will stand up to abuse. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna abuse it, just that I know that I can maintain it in my environment, which is not exactly third world, although some people might say that it is. Let's back up and say, talk about what this engine is for a little bit. I bought an XL250 frame, and the point of buying that frame was to have a larger frame, dual sport, dual purpose, whatever bike, street and trail. And I built this little XL70, and those of you who watch my videos on a regular basis have seen this one. I've made several videos of this one. I'm still not finished with it, but it's very rideable. And it's an XL70 frame and a Chinese 125 engine. And it's a good little bike. But I wanted to build something with a full-size frame. So I elected to go with a 1972 XL250 frame, but it was never my intention to put an original XL250 engine in it, because it's overhead cam. In fact, it's dual overhead cam. No, wait a minute, it's not dual overhead cam, but it's 4 valves per cylinder. And I wanted more simplicity than that. And I really wanted to get one of these Lifan engines, and I specifically wanted the pushrod engine. But as I was saying, I was not 100% confident that that was what I was going to receive. But here it is. Let me see if I can actually lift it out of here. That might be a good thing. Take it out, let you guys take a look at it. Tell you what, let me pause for a second while I do that, because I'm going to need to pause this thing soon anyway. Okay, so here's the little motorcycle engine we were just talking about. Get down here where we can see it. It's a Lifan, Chinese made. Now, one great thing about this, unlike Japanese engines, currently available motorcycles, which are overpriced to begin with, but generally new Japanese bikes only have electric start. I mean, they're designed to leave you stranded. They're designed to only be serviced by the factory or by factory dealerships, and they're not designed to be serviced by somebody like me, and they're not designed to be able to tinker with it and get back out of the desert alive or whatever. I like stuff that I can work on in the field. I like stuff that I can start in the field even if the battery dies. So I guess it's kind of a good thing that it's got electric start, although definitely not a prerequisite for me, but kickstart is. And as you can see right here, it does have kickstart. I don't have the kickstart lever on it right now, but it did come with it. So, electric and kick. Of course, it's got battery charge output, which is good for not only the starter, but for also lights and such, radios even. By radios, I mean like two-way radios, ham radio and stuff, which I also like to take with me out into the boonies. So, this is the starter cable. Uh-oh, here we go. Okay, and here's the electrical outlets. That one, I believe, if the color code is the same, that one will be the stator output to the stator, and one of them, probably the pink one here, no, I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway, one of them will be the crank pickup sensor for the ignition. So anyway, let's answer the big burning question. Is it push rod or is it overhead cam? I already know because I've already pulled the valve cover off. But now you're going to find out. As you can see here, it is indeed a push rod motor. See, you can see the push rods right there. So keep watching, because I'm going to be putting this in my XL250 frame.